Yooka-Laylee Review, a nostalgic, if slightly flawed, masterclass in 3D platforming. In the most 1990s, neon, Nickelodeon kind of way, I feel lucky to have lived through the industry's exciting transition from 2D to 3D. Even more specifically, and with I am not crying Yuri crying misty eyes, I still look back on Rare's rise to Nintendo 64 prominence through a certain childish awe, recalling how the British hit factory pumped out gem after gem with almost no signs of slowing down. It's with this reverence that I approach Yooka-Laylee, a modern homage to that golden era, created by some of the very same people who helped bring about the 3D platforming revolution in the first place. And you know what? Despite some nitpicking complaints, I'm not the least bit disappointed. Playtonic sets up its Kickstarter success story in typical and undeniably cheeky X-Rare fashion. Capital B, evil owner and antagonistic operator of Ivory Towers, and virtual stand-in for Despicable Me's Gru, has conspired with Duck sidekick and hench manager Dr. Quack to create a giant vacuum contraption. Why, pray tell? To inhale the world's supply of books. You know, so they can corner the market on those trendy bound tomes. In the process, Yooka-Laylee's magical one book gets sucked into the sky, its pages or pages, as they're called, scattered about like so many gilded scribblings. Excellent. Now there are things to find. In so many words, let the open world collectathon begin. And wow, is there a lot to track down. For starters, there are the aforementioned pages, of which there are 145 total and are used to both unlock and expand each of the 5 massive book worlds. Then there are 1010 dancing quills to find. These are easily the most numerous collectibles in the game and are used as currency when purchasing new special moves. Each world also has 5 wily ghost riders to outwit and capture, and even then, that's not even touching on other elusive items like play coins, which unlock cool retro-inspired arcade games, and molly cool units that allow Yooka-Laylee to transform into various forms via Dr. Puzz's D.N. ray gun. Really, it's a cornucopia of collectibles, and plenty to keep most players busy for 20 or possibly 30 hours. Finding all those anthropomorphic knickknacks is quite the undertaking, as each of the grand tomes, in addition to the Ivory Tower's main hub, is unabashedly massive. Even before you earn your way to the initial PAGE-funded expansion, these environments are, just in their default state, seriously huge. They stretch out in all directions, from far into the distance to straight up into the sky, and they're filled with crazy obstacles just waiting to be conquered. It's something that Yooka-Laylee really pulls off, this sense of free space and scale that makes the player feel noticeably small but not necessarily overwhelmed. Playtonic has crafted a universe that encourages exploration, but has left out the needless busy work saturation which tends to plague other open-world games. Truthfully, it's easy to go exploring in a title that looks this stunning. A Disney-esque fever dream full of imagination, Yooka-Laylee checks most of the platformer trope boxes with stylish panache, from the snow-swept ice vistas of Glitter Glaze Glacier to the expansive jungle ruins of Tribal Stack Tropics. Each world is brimming with color and animation. Some personal favorites of mine are the jack-o'-lanterns in Moody Maze Marsh that follow Yooka-Laylee as they walk by, casting a lovely, creepy glow on them as they pass. NPCs, which run the gamut from sentient grocery carts to skeletons in distress to tightly wound signposts and one very upset Kraken, are numerous and full of personality. This also includes characters that Yooka-Laylee routinely interact with, like Vendy, a living, motherly vending machine who dispenses tonics, earnable, in-game cheats and boosts, and Trouser, a sleazy sales snake and dead ringer for John Lovitz's Tommy Flanagan from SNL, who deals in move upgrades and brick cell phone conversations via his illicit storefront. A storefront which, of course, is dubbed Twit, Trouser's worldwide incredible traders, yeah, right. And let's not forget minecart minigame facilitator Kartos, who Laylee refers to as the god of ore. The witty onslaught is both glorious and endless. This surplus of personality is a true testament to Yooka-Laylee's writing. Sure, It's full of corny dad jokes and contains more puns than you could shake an N64 rumble pack at, but this very British, very Monty Python sensibility permeates the game and is, for me at least, what makes it all so damn entertaining. During the course of the adventure, I stayed consistently excited about engaging the next NPC, eagerly anticipating what insanely tongue-in-cheek bits of dialogue would come tumbling out of their mouth. And it's not just goofy for the sake of being goofy, conversations are sharp, funny, and oftentimes shockingly topical. I say this of a game that is almost painfully self-aware. Yooka-Laylee knows it's a video game, it knows how ridiculous video games can be, and it has a grand time poking fun at the blatant silliness of it all. However, as much as I'd love to say that everything is perfect in this rarefied rarevival, I simply can't, and that's mostly because of the controls. Moving the duo around feels great for the most part, as do most of the special moves, like Laylee's glide and Yooka's double jump. But then there's the Yankee reptile roll, which you'll need to use in order to traverse slippery ramps. This clumsy somersault can be an absolute chore to wrangle, as it controls like a wheelbarrow with a flat tire. Turning is more a suggestion than a command, and the roll transforms some of the game's more challenging sections into lessons in rage quitting. A particular boss encounter comes to mind, one that happens early on in the first world. It involves rolling up an incline while dodging and leaping over tumbling logs, and I'm pretty sure I went prematurely gray just trying to manage my emotions during the ordeal. Furthermore, several other key moves show a similar delayed responsiveness, like Yooka's basic spin attack, which never feels quite as immediate and effective as I want it to. The tongue grapple can seem a bit inaccurate too, sometimes failing to latch onto a desired grasping point or health butterfly. A lot of these control issues contribute to strange difficulty spikes that pop up throughout, and while they don't ruin the game, it feels like the mechanics could have used some additional tightening. I'm sure it will get addressed in the inevitable Yooka-Laylee again. You can have that one, Platonic. But sincerely, the control issues are dwarfed by all the good in Yooka-Laylee, this modern-day throwback that seems tailor-made to yank at nostalgia strings. From the undeniably Banjo-Kazooie-inspired soundtrack, charming game file select screen and undeniably familiar scene transitions, right down to the 3.5-inch floppy disk that appears when the game is saving your progress, the development team seems intent on transporting players back to a simpler time. A time, we know, when video game characters talked in signature rare gibberish and cartridges were all the rage, well, at least on one particularly stubborn console. Yooka-Laylee may as well have been plucked straight out of an old pile of Pogs and Virtual Pets. I'm actually half convinced that it's lost software originally scheduled to release between Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie, only to have recently been discovered in some deep, underground rare vault. I imagine there will be people who won't find this kind of flavor appealing, who might consider the game to be dated and maybe even outright pandering, but I'm not one of them. With the crowdfunding success of Yooka-Laylee and it making good on all of Platonic's lofty promises, I can only hope that this will usher in a resurgence of similar titles. A new renaissance, if you will, of the 3D platformer. But while I wait for that looming deluge, I'll continue my nostalgic hopping and jumping, suddenly a middle school kid all over again. If you need me, I'll be over here with my Gushers and Mighty Max playsets, happily accompanied by a chameleon and a bat, reliving my childhood one sweet double jump at a time.